besties, welcome back to the channel. My name is Cayenne and this is Cayenne is Booked, and today we're going to be talking about all of my April hopefuls. I've got, actually don't even know how many books I have. I know I normally count them up, but we didn't do that today. So let's get into it, why don't we? The first book up is going to be book 2 in the Trials of Apollo series. So this is The Dark Prophecy. My students and I read The Hidden Oracle last quarter, and I gave them an option between The Dark Prophecy and reading Holes, because I feel like Holes is like a 4th and 5th grade rite of passage. And by a landslide, The Dark Prophecy won, because I've gotten them obsessed with the Greek gods and goddesses. So I too will need to read this book. It's on the approved book list, so obviously I'm able to, but I actually probably need to read it so, like, you know, I can intelligently teach about it. So I will be reading this book this month. Next up, if Mare's watching this, she's going to be really excited because I'm finally going to get my life together. But Mile High by Liz Tom Ford, I'm pretty sure I've put this on a hopefuls list before, but this is for April, and in April we're going to Readers Take Denver, and Liz Tom Ford will be there. So I would like to speak somewhat intelligently on at least one of the books that she has written. I do have The Right Move also in my book haul stack that I'll be talking about in a video later this month. But I at least want to read Mile High so I can have like some place to talk about with, like, I'm standing in her line and like I'm like, hey, haha, can you sign this? I haven't actually read it yet. But to be fair, I think she gets that a lot. You know, us bookish girlies and guys, we do stuff like that. So I do want to read this. I know it's a sports romance. Past that I don't know too much, but I also don't want to know too much because it is so beloved, and I don't want to read too many reviews or anything like that or accidentally read a spoiler. So we're gonna read Mile High. Next up, I've started it. I'm only like a chapter or 2 in. So this is The Perfect Room by Shanora Williams. It is one of her thrillers. All I know so far, and this isn't, I'm looking at the back just to make sure that I don't mess it up, that Ivy Hill, who's our main character, her life, changed in a very, very significant way. It hasn't been told to us yet. I'm assuming she lost somebody. And the person that she just found out about, Lola Maxwell, is at the core of it, even though it was only charged as an accident. But obviously to Ivy, it's like far more than an accident. So like I said, I'm only a couple of pages in. So I don't, yeah, I'm only like 2 chapters in at this point. So I don't really have too much to say, but also I wouldn't want to ruin The Perfect Ruin. See what I did there? Anyways, so I'm gonna be reading this month. Next up, I'm going to be reading One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So all I know is this is a gothic-esque fantasy, romantasy type deal. Past that, I don't know anything about it, but I just know it keeps popping up on all the romantasy lists. Anytime I Google something about romantasy, this comes up. So I'm like, okay, like, I get it. I'm going to read it. I don't know. So something needs a monster. The monster might be her. And that way I say something is I can't read it because obviously I got this from the library, so they have their little decal up here. So yeah, I'm very interested in this one. You're probably thinking, wow, girl, you can't even say. It doesn't matter. I don't really need to know about it. Like, I see this. I see the fact that it's been recommended so many times, and the vibes are going to get me there, even though I hate the word vibes. Ugh. Next up is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I've seen this enough on Instagram. I've seen this enough on Book Talk. I've seen this enough on BookTube. So I'm gonna pick it up, and we can read the synopsis together right now. How far would you go for happily ever after? For as long as she can remember, Evangeline Fox has believed in true love and happy endings until she learns that the love of her life will marry another. Desperate to stop the wedding and to heal her wounded heart, Evangeline strikes a deal with the charismatic but wicked Prince of Hearts. In exchange for her help, he asks for 3 kisses to be given at the time and place of his choosing. But after Evangeline's first promised kiss, she learns that bargaining with an immortal is a dangerous game, and that the Prince of Hearts wants far more from her than she pledged. He has plans for Evangeline, plans that will either end the greatest happily ever after or the most exquisite tragedy. So I'm going to read it. I only have this one right now. I'll probably binge the trilogy if we're going to be honest. And like, you guys know that, like, once I read one, I can't stop. So I put the other 2 on hold at my library, and I'm just waiting for them to transfer. But we'll be reading about the Prince of Hearts and Evangeline. I'm assuming their love story, maybe their tragedy. Who knows? I'm here for it. Next up is The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. So this is dubbed one of the best fantasy novels I've read in a long time by Sarah J. Maas. This is in an empire ruled by bone shard magic. The former heir to the emperor will fight to reclaim her magic and her place on the throne in this stunning, epic fantasy debut. The Suki dynasty has ruled the Phoenix Empire for over a century. Their mastery of bone shard magic powering the monstrous constructs that maintain law and order. But now the emperor's rule is faltering, and revolution is sweeping across the empire's many islands. Trapped in a palace of locked doors and secrets, Lynn is the emperor's daughter, but not his heir. Her childhood memories have been erased by mysterious illness. The only way to reclaim her birthright and overthrow her despotic father is to master the art of the very bone shard magic that his subjects fear. But the secrets behind her father's power are dark and deep, and the magic he wields does not come without a cost. When the revolution reaches the gates of the palace itself, Lynn must decide how far she is willing to go to claim her throne and to save her people. This is also a trilogy. I have the other 2 books right here in the stack. I just picked them up from the library yesterday, so I'm very excited to read this one. I haven't really seen it on any lists. I just was at the library and it was like on one of the like end caps or whatever, like right before you go down the aisle. And I thought it was kind of cool and I liked the title. And now I have all 3 books and I'm gonna read them. It's pretty much all you need from me. And then the final book that I want to put on my hopefuls list is The Longing of Lone Wolves by Lana P. I'm not even going to attempt to say her last name because I know I'm going to butcher it. So this is the Fae Guardian series, and this is also kind of like a fantasy dystopian, from what I'm able to understand. And I'm only like a couple chapters into the audiobook. The male narrator though, what's up? From what I'm able to understand is like Earth, the land exists, but the Earth that we know of doesn't exist anymore because it's like 150, 200 years later. And she was like in a frozen state. Her name's Clark. She was in a frozen state and like now she's not in a frozen state anymore. And now she's like working with this Fae Guardian. He doesn't have a name, by the way. I'm hoping we give him a name soon so I'm able to call him by something. But our male main character is a Fae Guardian. However, he's in some trouble. Like he can't use his full Fae powers. And this is, I'm assuming, going to be their love story of how she's actually his fated mate and he doesn't realize it yet because he thinks she, oh my goodness, he thinks she is a lowly human. But, you know, she's always had this like feeling she gets when like something's happening or like any type of premonition. So very interested to see how this goes. Obviously, this is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 7 books. I'm gonna read more than 7 books. But these are the ones that like when I was looking at all my library checkouts, which is at 39. And I was looking at some of the books that I got in my recent haul. I was like, ooh, which books sound interesting? So that's how we came together for this list. But that's the end. Do you have any books that you're really looking forward to reading in the month of April? Drop them in the comments below. Or this one's my favorite. Do we have any books that are the same? And you're probably thinking, hey, Kyan, you didn't say anything about your book club. Yes, I know. So we've picked the April book and the May book, but we will not be doing the live show until May because I have a bachelorette party to go to in April. So I will put them on May's hopeful list because I will read them in the month of May because I don't want to forget too much from April's book. So we have like a little bit of a break and then that will come back in May hopefuls. So thank you so much for watching. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. You, if you're not one, can always hit the subscribe button. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.